Alright, this is blog post number 3 for Period 7 English class with Mr. Greth, and my book is No Easy Day. Um, this is really weird. I've never done a video blog post before, but here we go. So, this blog, I'm going to be talking about chapters 8 through 14. And unlike in my previous blog post, this one had a little bit more to do about the mission for going to assassinate Osama bin Laden more than the last one, because this one, in the beginning of chapter 9, they it went back to in the book present time, where they were flying in to the compound for Osama, and they were done with the flashbacks for a little bit, and they were going to land and get in, get him, get out. It was being quick and clean, but they were in the process of landing, and they were spotted by some guards that were like they thought the place where they're going to land was clear, but it ended up not being clear. So they were spotted, and they ended up being shot at, and the helicopter was hit, and they tried to land it, but they couldn't find a safe spot to land it near the compound, like in the compound, and they were continuously being shot at, which wasn't helping, and they ended up having to crash the helicopter. Nobody died. The pilot was injured, but he didn't die. But they crashed just a little bit outside the compound, which, I mean, it wasn't good, but it could have been worse. But due to the training, Mark stayed calm and focused and didn't let that little, the big hiccup in the plan didn't let him bother. It bothered him, but it didn't let it get to him in the moment, because he needed to stay focused, or else they weren't going to accomplish the mission. Because like I said in my last one, if one person messes up and fails, then the whole team is thrown out of whack, because they all have to work off each other, even though there is no instructor. They all rely on each other. They're all there for each other and whatnot. And everybody had the same mindset as Mark. They helped out the pilot, made sure he was okay where he was for the time being, and they moved on. But as they were walking back to the compound, the flashback started again, back to previous missions leading up to it in the green team. They went on a few more like patrol missions and whatnot, and they went on, which all went smoothly, because the team was starting to grow together and bond, and they were starting to work very well together. They were very effective. They all their missions were, for the most part, quick and clean, no casualties. Like I say, and then they had more missions where they had to locate Taliban, like higher up people in the Taliban, to find out about the whereabouts of Osama bin Laden, and they had to go through quite a few before someone would give them up. And I mean, for the most part, none of them really knew where he was, or at least they didn't say so. But they led him on to another high, like someone like a step up, who would know a little bit more. And a lot of them were easy to crack, because they weren't as loyal as they seemed. As soon as they would begin interrogation or something, they'd crack relatively soon. But I mean, that got harder and harder to do as they got higher up in the ranks of the Taliban. Eventually, they found out the exact location of the compound where Osama was hiding out since 9/11, and they went back with the information back to the barracks, and they had to select a team to go in, take him out, and get out of there, basically. they had to hand select a team, and they selected Mark and a couple other guys to do it. And Mark was ecstatic because this was the moment he dreamed of since September 11th in 2001. All the emotions from that day that he felt came back, and he was he was excited and scared, but his excitement like extremely outweighed his fear. He knew he was gonna accomplish and get there and do what he had to do. He knew he was gonna get it done. He didn't do like this was what drove him throughout all of his tests, all of his training, all of everything from the moment when he was a lower ranked SEAL in 2001 till now. Everything he worked for, this is what he worked for. So he was extremely excited, and I mean, it wasn't going to happen the next day, but it was happening. The mission was going to be carried out in the very near future, but he didn't know exactly when. All he knew is he was going to do it. He immediately began to get his stuff together and all ready to go whenever this mission were to carry out. And the weird thing about this mission is when they were planning it, they only planned a plan A. They didn't make a plan B because they didn't expect to fail, which I think that was a stupid idea on their part, because as I said earlier, the helicopter ended up going down on the way to the mission, and they obviously had to form a plan B on the spot. They didn't have one in place. They didn't predict that scenario because they were so sure it was going to work. And Mark had a little bit of doubt in his mind that the plan A wasn't going to work, but he was like, they all trained so hard for this that they weren't going to fail, which was not a good thing to think, because as much confidence as he had in himself, he still had to plan for anything that could happen, because anything can happen. But they had some downtime to hang out. They the night before the mission, they ended up, because the mission was going to happen late at night, so like a full 24 hours beforehand, they went out and they got a couple beers and whatnot, because you can't get completely drunk when you're in the military. You can have, I think there's I'm just going off of my own knowledge, but I think there's only like a couple beer rule or something when you're in the military and you're in active duty. You can only have like a couple drinks. So they went out for a couple drinks to celebrate being picked for the team, and they went and they got some rest, and then they loaded up the next day, the next evening, to go out and get what they needed to get done. And that's basically where I'm at right now in the book. It's getting really intense. It's suspenseful now, because everything this book is built up to is about to go down. Because I'm getting towards the end. I have a couple more chapters left. It's starting to get. It's a lot more about that mission now than it was before. So, yeah, that's my blog post number 3. I think the next one I'm going to do an audio. So